if you want the experience of that, you can go to my website at jerrymarzinksy.com and look up the interview with Lynn Manette.
Right.
She's a she's a nurse who worked in she did an internship on a psych ward. She was able to see what these things look like, and she drew a picture of it on some of those interviews, and they would attach. And she flipped one off and knocked it off a person. She has a very interesting story. There's another what is her name? There's another one by a psychic researcher who recorded what these things sounded like. And she got a recording that you could actually hear. I mean, it wasn't something, most of the time, I'll get contacted and the person say, hey, I got a recording of it. And I'll play it, and I can't hear it. It sounds like a bunch of static to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
But this one was very, very clear.
Wow.
Um,
Do do you know where they attach on the body or the
they
spirit?
usually attach behind the neck.
Oh my God. I can't believe you said that because a guy I'm talking to offline, the former high priest of black magic, said the same thing. Yeah, I just didn't want to have a leading question. So wow, that's very fascinating. I actually want to read what he said to you. He said, the nervous system. He said, what parts of the body do they live in? That's what he wanted me to ask you. He said, I have found them in the spinal cord and back of the neck. The nervous system is the interface. Brain, spinal, it's electrical, just as you said. That's what he saw. And drugs create a balanced polarity in the brain using heavy metals, aluminum oxides, titanium oxides, and a few others. So, yeah, a lot of what you're saying there is exactly what he's saying as well, which is very fascinating. Wow. And so, yeah, I heard you say that she kind of brushed them off. Would they reattach later or?
Well, in that case, they didn't. But, it's all got to do with frequency.
Okay.
It's the higher your frequency, the less chance they have of attaching because they're very low frequency entities. They're the scum of the earth, you know. So they will, if you keep your frequency high and move in a positive spiritual direction and keep feeding that direction, that's the ultimate solution.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And could you maybe just walk us through a few people that you've worked with? I see you have testimonials on jerrymarzinksy.com, but can you just give us a
And I got
highlight of a couple, what they were dealing with, what they did, and where they are now with your approach?
Well, my approach is multifaceted. There's several parts to it, including the That's a Lie program, including MACE, including a number of things that I've found that they hate the 23rd Psalm. So it's a battle. You know, I've heard that there are some exorcists that can pull them off and drive certain ones away. But if the person doesn't increase their frequency and get on a positive spiritual path and stay there, they will draw them back.
Yes.
If they're using drugs and they go back to using drugs, they will draw them back.
Yes,
You
I've
know,
heard the
so
exact same.
the 23rd Psalm is like punching them in the face. They can't stand it. The 91st Psalm, they can't stand it. You know, they the lie program, they have to get you to believe what they're saying because their only way to act to get action in the physical world is through physical beings. They can't control anything themselves without taking over a physical being. They can't, for the most part, they can't speak to anybody else. They won't speak to psychiatrists. They won't speak to family members. The only way they can operate in the physical world is by taking somebody over and influencing
Yeah.
their behavior.
Yeah, the way they've been described to me is almost like fiends. Like like for example, leeches, they can stay dormant in the water for years, right? And so they're outside of time, so they're constantly like starved, fiendish organisms, right? That are seldom actually fed, right? So once they, like, the highlight of their existence is to actually connect, and through even partial connection, they can at least experience the physical world, right? It's kind of like a
Yeah, and
parasitic relationship, or
so, well, it is, and it's like I've heard that they're assigned to destroy certain people. So Swedenborg says you have two demons attached to you and you have two angels attached to you. Now, what I've seen is that the demons can speak in whatever language you're at. The the angels speak more in feeling and intuition.
mm-hmm.
They'll tell you, hey, that doesn't feel right. Don't, they don't speak in words unless you're on the verge of death. Then they'll do that. But the bad ones will speak. They'll put those thoughts in your mind. Yeah, go look at that porn magazine, or yeah, go get another hit of the crack, or you can have a couple of drinks. That's okay. Or you can look at that porn magazine, or they're constantly chipping away at you, and they'll sit there and they'll wait until something really pisses you off, and then they'll just pour gasoline on the fire.
Yeah.
Say, well, why don't you punch that guy in the face, or why don't you throw something at him, or to try to make the situation worse. But
Yeah.
they're around all the time. Everybody's got them.
Yeah,
It's,
for me,
it's who,
it's the times when it's justified anger. Like when somebody has actually slighted me and made a mistake that's, objectively, rationally the case, then there's I hear the
yep,
whisper where
that's
it's like, you were wronged.
right,
You're in the right here. Like, they're wrong.
right,
Like,
right,
and it cranks up
right,
to 11. Like, something that was just like, okay, let's talk about this. It's a bit of an issue. I feel like this, like, justified, anger,
right, right.
and then afterwards I'm like, what the hell happened to me? Like, why did I get so angry about something that was, not that big of a deal?
Well, that's why. And the other thing is like, well, why did I say that? Or, what did he mean by that? Or are those people laughing at me? Or, they'll put those doubts in your mind to make you think that you're a bad person.